This is the Fight for Your Health, the show that teaches you how to master the fine art of living your life on purpose and have a longer, healthier, and happier life through the martial arts lifestyle. The show is hosted by Professor Buitron and his co-host, Grand Master Richard Hackworth. These two experts have combined their efforts and are on a mission to make the world a safer, healthier, and happier place through the martial arts lifestyle. Now, to tell it like it is, here are your hosts.
To the Fight for Your Health TV show with your host, Professor Buitron. I'm Richard Hackworth, your co-host. And today we have an exciting topic for you, or one that's going to be very useful for many people, and that is how to overcome burnout. And Professor Buitron, if you would share your opening comments.
Sure. That's an excellent subject. And I want to thank everybody for watching. If you guys have a chance, click on the subscribe, hit the little alert button, share it away, because we're going to be touching base on a subject matter that many do not want to touch, and that is a burnout after the pandemic. And a lot of adults are going through that, as you all well know, and how to deal with that and get our martial arts schools back into what training in martial arts can actually do to somebody that's in that stage of life right now, with that burnout, that severe burnout. So, GM, tell us exactly which way do you think people can go, or what is the most common effect that you've seen on your side?
Well, the most common effect is the additional stress, anxiety, insomnia, having trouble sleeping, upset stomach, which eventually leads to like acid reflux and other things. And there are some very simple things that they can do without the need for prescription drugs that have horrible side effects, because sometimes the side effects of these medications are worse than the cause or why you're taking it. And I'll give you an example. A friend of mine was taking antidepressants, and it listed one of the side effects as possible suicidal tendencies. And I'm thinking, that's not something you want to give somebody that's already depressed, but it's a common medication. So when you have all of these things built up through the last 2 years of the COVID lockdowns and restrictions, and you can't even shop normally anymore, and the whole thing of not being able to, I'll give you an example. I wanted to go to a movie theater with my daughter for her birthday, but now you have to buy your tickets online because they don't want people just coming up and buying tickets to the counter where you have to exchange hands. You're touching things with your hands and passing cash back and forth. So now they want you to order your tickets online, pick your seats online, and if you don't buy the tickets together, you will not be able to sit together because you have a seat assignment, just like booking a flight on an airplane. And I think that all of those things add to the depression and anxiety that people suffer about the whole COVID mess. And even when the whole thing about people wearing masks, like I'm vaccinated, I've had the booster, and so I don't feel it's necessary for me to wear a mask. But if you're scared, if you're sick, if you're worried about getting it, then by all means, wear a mask if you don't feel you're healthy enough, or better yet, if you think you're not healthy enough to be around other people, you stay home and let the healthy people live their lives.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. It's funny that you say that, because I see people jogging with their masks on still. I see people driving their cars by themselves wearing a mask. I see people walking their dogs with a mask. I see people talking on video chat and they're wearing a mask, and they're in their home by themselves. And I'm like, and fine, I understand the fear, I understand the caution, I understand everything else, and I understand free will and free opinion, right? And free choice, if you want to put it that way. But what happens is there was a lot of people that have gone into depression for many reasons. One, work related because of the pandemic. Second, they can't get a job because of the pandemic, even though there's jobs out there right now. There's a lot of jobs in the market, but not everybody wants those jobs. Okay. But a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people are losing their businesses. A lot of people are, not only in the martial arts, all over the place, they're losing their business. Um, you're seeing the effects on businesses that have been around for 30 years. Like right here in Laredo, there was a great restaurant that's been around for 30 something years, just closed. And everybody said, oh, it wasn't COVID. Well, I talked to the owner, and we're very good friends. We're very friendly. And he basically said, I'm tired of this. I still had to pay everything in there and we're not making it. So I'd rather just lease it out to another restaurant than continue working this path because I see the frustration that everybody has. And and that leads to a lot of people trying to do other things. When you're in your house by yourself, just thinking away, bad thoughts can enter. And especially there's so much negativity that's around us right now. We have to start thinking positive. So I suggest, and I'm not selling the art or the system or what have you, but well, how can martial arts help that? Well, number one, it can make you set new goals. It can make you make new friends. It can give you a bunch of other how can I say, aid you in so much more that it's something that everybody should start realizing that their martial arts can help people get out of that. I guess you can call it syndrome if you want to put it that way, or that phase of life that you're in right now. What do you think about that, Jim?
Well, I think that most people become a little overwhelmed with all of the things going on around them. And one of the first signs that they're going to experience is just exhaustion. They are just wore out from all the stress. And then they get to the point where they dread working, where they didn't before, because now they have to work under these weird, unusual conditions, particularly restaurant owners or workers that are having to wear a mask, or cashiers that are having to wear a mask for 8 hours or more for their workday. And then it all leads to trouble sleeping, which doesn't help with the exhaustion, the depression, like we mentioned earlier. And then people just feel like they're drowning in fear, and it's just something that they can't overcome. And it leads to a lot of irritability. If you notice, people today have a very short temper in the last 2 years. It is all a sign of the burnout that people are feeling from all of this stuff going on. And the other thing is that they lose their desire to do non-work related things that they used to enjoy. People quit working out because you couldn't go to the gym, you couldn't go to your classes and things. And so the things that used to help keep them healthy and keep them happy, they couldn't do. I know here where I'm at in Orange County, for 9 months, we weren't even allowed to have class. And then for a year after that, the restrictions were everybody in the class has to wear a mask, no more than 10 people in the room, including the instructor. So that means now you can only have 9 people in the classroom. So if you had 50 students, you're now having to try to do 6 classes a day to accommodate those same 50 people. So you're working 6 times as much for the same amount of money. And it's exhausting. And the other restriction was, like for us, Hapkido is a grappling based art like jujitsu, no contact. You weren't allowed to have contact. And they still wanted everybody coming in the door to put hand sanitizer on and whatever. And people didn't want to train under those guidelines. So that was a year and 9 months that we really were out of business because of COVID. And it hurt people. When I'm watching my students on Facebook, I notice, a lot of them put on 20 pounds or so from the lack of exercise. And so when they're not working out and training as much, how do they fill their time? Snacking, watching Netflix, right? None of those are healthy habits. And, but fortunately, to solve these problems is very simple, and it doesn't require those dangerous medications. And when I tell people this, they're like, well, Richard, I think everybody knows that. I said, yeah, everybody's heard it, but nobody's doing it. So I tell people one of the first things you want to do to deal with burnout is set 2 alarms, get up early so that when it's time to go to bed at night, you're tired enough to fall asleep. So you got to make that happen. You can't just lay there scrolling Instagram for 2 hours, right? You have to get up early so that when it's time to go to bed, you're tired enough to make that happen. The second thing I tell people is, and there's a lot of science behind this, a lot of medical studies that confirm this, no devices 2 hours before you go to bed, because all that blue light stimulation, triggers dopamine, which is a drug that your body produces, a chemical that your body produces that keeps your mind running at high speed so you can't fall asleep. That's why people are like, oh, I can't fall asleep. And then they go to looking at their cell phone again. Well, now you're making it worse. 2 hours before your bedtime, put the device away. And if you're trying to keep busy, clean your room, do some vacuum, do something other than being on a device. And then I would say the third thing that I recommend is to make sure that you're drinking plenty of water, because your body cannot operate to its full potential and function properly if you're dehydrated. And coffee and other caffeinated drinks, soda, all of those things don't hydrate you. They're liquids, but they don't rehydrate your body the way that just pure water will. And then when we talked about the whole going to bed thing, make sure that when it's time for you to go to bed, make sure that the curtains are drawn, that all the lights are out, that it's dark enough in the room that your body's natural process for falling asleep starts to happen. And that can't happen if you got the TV on and light on in the room. So those are my 4 biggest recommendations, to get up early, drink plenty of water, no blue light devices, no cell phone, no computers for 2 hours before bed, and make the room dark. And like I said, I'm sure some of our viewers are thinking, well, Richard, I know that. But here's my question. Are you doing it? If not, make sure you're doing all 4 of those things. And in just a matter of days, you're going to notice the improvement. Because believe me, just one good night of sleep is going to make the rest of your week better.
You're
So
correct.
I think people will do that. Now, before I move on, I just want to say that everybody's getting a sneak peek here. You can see all this stuff stacked in the background. This is a storage room in my facility. So I'm converting the storage room into a studio that I'll be doing the podcast from, because, like you, I have a podcast of my own and I'm on podcasts with some other people. So I'm going to convert this room to a studio. So I've got the desk in here today and the computer set up that I do the podcasting from. So if people are wondering what all that is in the background, that's just stuff that's going to go out. I've got 100 folding chairs there that we're donating to a local church. We used to use them for our special events and stuff at the school before COVID. And they're still in good condition. I'm sure the church is going to enjoy them. But so anybody that's wondering what that stuff is in the background, that's what it is. And so the other thing is that this is my drink. This is my green tea that I make myself. That's one of the big questions I get when people see me take a sip so that I don't get dry mouth. They're like, Richard, what's in the cup? Well, it's almost always green tea.
And you made some excellent points, and that's great that you're turning that into a podcast room. That's the way it should be. Here, what I'm trying to say is the goal setting is something that people need to understand. And what I'm getting a lot of people is the lack of losing time, especially going to class or going to a martial art class or going to a class and setting something. Start setting those alarms.
Yeah.
You know that the class is going to be at 8 o'clock every night. Put the alarm to 7:20 for you to leave the house. Get there a little bit early. Okay. Work out, go home, do what you have to do. Start making a list every, I would say every Sunday night of what you need to work on the whole week. And then have little lists for every day of what you need to work on every day. And get back into planning, get back into setting a schedule, get back into actually doing things, getting those small little goals and getting them out of the way. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Every time you were, like I had a student of mine say, um, so when are we going to be practicing forms, in the Kempo class? And I said, you should be practicing your forms at home. Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. Literally, you should be doing them or do parts of them when you can do, in the room that you have. Sometimes some people don't have the space, but you should be practicing every day. Martial arts doesn't end outside when you close the door of the school.
Right.
And that's where a lot of people don't understand is they go in there, there's somebody else, and when they come into the school, they put on the gi and they transform into this other personality, and then they take it off and then they go back into, no, martial arts is with you completely, 24/7. Maybe you should start waking up and do 25 sit-ups before you do anything else. Get off right there, lay down next to your bed and do 25 sit-ups before you do anything else. And take it that route. Then it becomes 50 sit-ups, and then go over there, take a shower, and do everything else that you have to do in life. But you have to set those little goals. You have to start going after something. If people say, I don't have time, or I wish somebody would go with me to do martial arts. Everybody has an Instagram. Everybody has a Facebook page. Everybody's jumping on Twitter now. So listen, you can put in there and say, you know what? I'm going to go take classes so-and-so place. Is anybody interested in becoming my partner? And we go over there and start training together. Put it on social media. You're going to get a friend of yours that was in high school and say, or from college or what have you, it's probably going to say, you know what? That's a good idea. I'll join you. Those are the things that people always talk about and say, oh, well, I don't have time. I don't have a partner. Really? You don't have a partner? When I used to go to the gym and be lifting weights, there's people that end up going to the gym usually around the same time. You'll start making friends with somebody unless you're that recluse that you can't. And you'll end up getting somebody that's in there and making friends with him. He's going to end up becoming your partner lifting weights. But if you have a problem making friends and you already have a set niche of friends, ask them, you know what? I'm going to start lifting weights. I'm going to start taking martial arts. Can you want to be my partner when we go over there? That's always the best way. Buddy system. Let's get it going.
Right.
I think, that's the way I look at things. What do you think?
You made a couple of excellent points there. And some of our viewers might not know that I'm a professional business mentoring consultant for martial arts school owners. And a lot of the people that I talk to, I tell them, look, we got to get you on a schedule. And they're like, oh, I hate to-do lists. I hate to follow a schedule. And I'm like, what kind of schedule are you making? You have to schedule the life that you want, because they tell me, they're like, well, I schedule all the things I got to do. Well, you need to start scheduling some things that you want to do. Schedule the date night with your significant other, schedule your workouts, schedule a weekend fishing trip, schedule all of the things that are the rewards for doing all the things that you need to do on top of that. And once they learn how to schedule these things in, they enjoy it. They look forward to it. They know, hey, I'm going out to dinner Thursday with my spouse. And so they know all week long, they're looking forward to Thursday night, because now they've scheduled something worth looking forward to, not just tasks and work, and the same thing, the comment you made about finding a friend to go work out with, if you don't have a friend to take with you, make a friend where you're at, because you're already in a place with like-minded people, so befriend some of the other people that are working out or training there. It's very, very good.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, um, what I've seen in martial arts, and I'm going to tell you this, as a community wise, different martial arts attract different types of people. But like you said, like-minded people, those that stay, end up becoming family and friends for a very long time.
Yeah.
And eventually, everybody within the martial arts that has any type of respect and was taught respect will become friends with others, just like what happened with us, and so on and so forth. Regardless of what style or system, you have that mutual respect and understanding, and so on and so forth that goes in there. But just like boxing, you get let's just take boxing by itself, or the boxing element arts, Savad boxing, Thai boxing, all that stuff. That's basically a person that's very not lonely. I don't want to say the word loner, but I'm
Yeah,
talking
independent. They're very
independent.
independent minded. Yes.
Independent. That's the word that I'm getting at. And they're gonna go and they're gonna be there. But guess what? When they're in there, they're gonna make their friends, and they're gonna make their kind of their family, their niche, and so on and so forth. And they're gonna grow within that, and they'll start growing from there. Then you get a martial art like capoeira, which is very community oriented. Everybody's involved with everything together. So it's a different type of energy that's in capoeira. Eventually, at the end, everybody kind of fits in, right? You get it in karate. Karate is very much a buddy system. If you look at it, the kids from the neighborhood, they're all going to go do karate, but not all the kids in the neighborhood are going to go do boxing. You get one, but you won't get all of them. So what I'm trying to say is, depending on the sport that you're looking for, there's actually martial arts that fit individuals out there. And right now, with what's going on, with especially with a burnout, you have to start making friends of what you like to do. Understand what I'm saying? I don't know if
Oh,
you get
absolutely. Yeah.
so let's go out there and look at that. If you're more of a person that wants to be like independent and away from everybody, go search for boxing gym. I guarantee you're going to find like-minded people there, or what,
Absolutely.
or what have you. If you're the kid that's always looking for more kids, let's get them inside a martial arts school, and not a martial arts, there are martial arts schools, but let's get them into something like your school or capoeira school. But there's a lot of energy going. There's a lot of movement in there of everybody doing it together. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah,
You know,
that's a very good way to look at it. And I think that a lot of the people watching are going to be able to appreciate the views that you just shared on that topic. And that, like I said, people like the old saying, birds of a feather flock together. So if
absolutely,
you're attracted to something, the other people that are attracted to that have a very similar personality type to you. So it's obviously a great place to make new friends. And I know that I've got friends in the martial arts that I've been friends with for 35, 40 years.
absolutely.
And I can't imagine not being friends with them for any time in the future. So, and I think a lot of people don't get that. And what I really don't get is when I see a lot of people that they consider themselves like sports fans, and they'll spend all day on a Saturday watching football on TV. But why don't they get out and help coach a little league football team? Why don't they help at football events? Why don't they get active in the world of football instead of just watching it on TV? And I know I have friends like that before that I met. Almost every person that I asked, why did you get into the martial arts? The two main reasons were I was bullied as a kid, I saw a movie. And those two things um, attracted them to the martial arts. And I'll give you a good example. Almost every friend that I have that does like Kali or Eskrima, when I asked them what got you interested in it originally, and they said, I saw a Roland Dante movie, and just the way he was like a windmill of death with those sticks. And I just thought that was so cool, and I wanted to do it. Or guys that got into Kung Fu, they saw a Bruce Lee movie, and next thing you know, they wanted to do that. So, you're natural process will find what you like. And when you find what you like, stop being a spectator
Get
and
involved.
become a practitioner.
You're absolutely correct. Listen, how many people watch, like you said, watch football Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and that's all they do. And they criticize all the players. They criticize the coaches. They criticize the officials, the referees, and so on and so forth. But yet they won't get themselves out. Okay, fine. You don't want to teach. You don't want to deal with kids and parents and so on and so forth. Okay, don't coach that. Become a referee. Become an official. You know, somebody told me the other day, and I'm going to bring it in. And the sport of savate is savate boxe française. That's just the actual sport. That's the discipline. They said, Professor, when are we going to have another savate match? Well, number one, right now at this time frame, there's competitors, but savate's like boxing. Everybody has to be of the same rank and of the same level and of the same weight, and then there's age categories.
Right.
I go, well, how many? I mean, I have a couple of guys here that are some welterweights and some middleweights and maybe a flyweight. You guys have a bunch of heavyweights. They can't fly. They can't compete against each other, regardless. I said, but let's take a look how many people are needed just to have two people up there spending 9 minutes of time for everybody else to enjoy. Okay. I said, you need an official delegate that's sitting on the table. You need an official called a timer. You need a fighters official that's going to be checking the fighters while all this is going on. You need a doctor. You need a referee. You need 3 judges if it's regional, 4 judges if it's a national, and 5 judges if it's international. So we're already looking at, and if we're going to have one bout, it's not going to be cost effective to put it out there. Understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, and people, and they go, oh, I never thought of it that way. And I said, okay, you might not fight, but become a referee. You know, become a coach, become a second. Learn what it is to take somebody up to the ring. Learn what it is to have somebody compete and prepare them to the competition, and you have to be responsible for that person that's in the competition. Same thing goes with boxing. The thing is, we have more boxing clubs now, but the same thing goes with kickboxing. That's why a lot of these sports, kickboxing, boxing, and savate have actually diminished right now in the United States because of that lack of participation.
Yes.
MMA going out, but MMA in most areas it's a professional sport, and they're bringing in the professional judges and referees from the state. So the boxing commissions are the ones that are controlling that. You know, just like wrestling, they do the same thing. So people
Yes.
need to understand, if you love a sport and you're involved in the sport, and you're going to be, if you want to be involved, there's other ways to get involved within the sport essence of it, and get involved with it. Become an official, become a referee, become a coach, start a little league club. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that people can do to continue this movement forward.
Yeah, I think that that's some really good advice. And as we wrap the show up, I just want to remind everyone: make sure that first of all, you want to get up early. Secondly, drink plenty of water. Third, no blue light devices, no devices 2 hours before bedtime. And fourth, make sure the room is nice and dark so that your body will function the way it's supposed to function to sleep. And then the other thing is that I really hope that the last segment that you did will inspire people to take action and do those things. If maybe they were a competitor when they were younger and they feel they're too old to compete, become a judge. You know what to look for. Become a referee. You know what to look for. And there's all these opportunities to still be involved with the thing that you love, even if it's not as a competitor. And so I think that it's one of the ways that we can truly say that the martial art that we do is a lifelong activity, and that there's opportunities for you no matter, how young or how old you are. And that's one of the things that my teacher used to say a lot when people would come in and ask. He would tell them, no, you are not too old and it is not too late to start.
Absolutely.
And I remember we had a guy join class that was 74 years old, had never done it before in his life, had been like a Chuck Norris movie fan, Bruce Lee movie fan, but just never got around to taking the classes. And at 74, he finally got into it and started doing it. And he noticed that like his posture became better, his health improved from the exercise. And then at 80 years old, he earned his black belt. And so it's like they say, you are not too old and it is not too late to do what you love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And folks, we're gonna cut this one short, and we're gonna be here next week. And keep watching. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. Email us. We throw academy at 2012 at gmail.com. If you want us to talk about a topic that deals with our health, and in martial arts, so issues that arise, because remember, a lot of issues within martial arts and being involved in the martial arts, especially for martial arts instructors, they go martial arts instructors are also human. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of them go into stress. Only because they have a smile on their face when they're teaching does not mean that inside they're not having all the problems in the world as well. So, and a lot of them carry a lot of the problems of their students and their associates and so on and so forth. And they're out there with a big old smile. So have that understanding that this show is for that. And if you're having some issue, some problem, reach out, ask us, and we'll touch base. If you want to come out here and be a special guest and talk about your art and how it benefits other people, please do so. Please do so.
Well, I'd like to thank our viewers and peace out. Just please remember to subscribe to this channel, like, comment, and share our videos, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you for watching.
Be safe.